It's showtime at Homestead, Miami.
Andre Baranowskis at the line, steals it in the Indy 250.
Gordon to Baxter's in trouble, there they go. Gordon to the wall, jumps right around.
Side by side on the final lap, coming to the checkered flag.
Steve Morgan, the last lap half, and the victory in Las Vegas.
Welcome to the NOFSRL.
Hello everybody, this is Napa Fan here, and this is race number 15 in season number 9 of the NOFSRL Chick-fil-A Cup Series. We are here at the Portland International Raceway for the first time ever on Napa Fan. This a 23-lap event around this 1.95-mile road course in Portland, Oregon. And it should be a fun one here today for the Western Digital 350K. And glad you're here on this Saturday afternoon in between the truck race and the Xfinity race in real life from Atlanta. And obviously with everything that's been going on in the world, it's good to have a little bit of an escape from that, but that's not to diminish what is going on. And we here at the NOFSRL support all the efforts to help end racism in our country and in around the world as well. It definitely is just a terrible situation all around, and we definitely hope to be more open to the situation, to have open minds and open hearts over everything that's been going on, and definitely help fight racism in our country. And it's a tough situation. It's a hard thing to talk about, obviously, but I think now more than ever, it's a good time to look at this and figure out how we can solve this situation. And for guys like me, and for a lot of us here in the inner community, you know, we don't really know what to do. But I think the best thing we can do is to listen and to have open minds on this whole situation. Obviously, you know, everything that's gone on with George Floyd especially, you know, our thoughts and prayers go out to his family and just to everyone who's been affected by this over the years. We definitely support all the efforts to help end that, and it's tragic, but we're here to help and we're here to listen, and I think now we're definitely more open to that, and hopefully you are as well. But either way, with all that going on, we're still here. It's the halfway point of the season, and it's just been an interesting year so far. I think Trey said, you know, in qualifying yesterday, this has been one of the best seasons I think the Chick-fil-A Cup Series has had, which is a little ironic considering the year. But we hope to bring a good race to you guys, and definitely not to diminish all that's going on, but just to help take your mind off of the negative aspects of all that's been going on and enjoy a little bit of racing here from the Portland International Raceway. 23 laps here at the Portland International Raceway. This is how they line up in the championship standings coming into this race with only 6 races left to go until the regular season ends. Reagan Whitlock, your points leader, 79 points ahead of the cutoff. Samit Ozkin, 56 points ahead of the cutoff. Alexander Rowe, 50 points ahead. Shane Lake, 42 points ahead. Bradley Ream, 40 points ahead. Silas Orta, 33 points ahead. Mark Davison, 23 points ahead. Harry Larvin Alonso, 22 points ahead. Ryan Durrani, Andrew Miller, both 19 points ahead. Zachary Fitzwater, 19 points out of the cutoff. Nathan Stapleton, 23 out of the cutoff. And Diego Yepes, 25 points out of the cutoff. And then in the wildcard standings, Fisher G, 17 points ahead. Thomas Troxel, 6 points ahead. Jesse Turner, 6 points behind the wildcard. Iquan Haslam, 13 points behind the wildcard. And Wyatt Quayle, 26 points behind the wildcard. The wildcard is for those drivers who have wins that are outside the top 10 in points. And the drivers with the most points of those guys who have wins outside the top 10, the 2 drivers, I should say, make it into the chase. I'm joined alongside Trey Wright. I just realized that I've yet to have him talk. First time we're here at the Portland International Raceway. How do you think this race is going to play out here today in the Western Digital 350K?
As the field rolls up, I think it's definitely going to be a very interesting race. We saw very polarizing time trials between the uncharted cars and the chartered cars with definitely some interesting definitely interesting moments. Excuse me, I'm a little bit tongue-tied here, but Portland, this is definitely a beautiful facility for racing, a beautiful facility in general. It is definitely a very flowy racetrack, not very choppy like some road courses. Very high-speed racetrack, and with the chicane near the end of the front straightaway, that is going to be the main point, the main passing point for a lot of these guys. This race, it's like you said during qualifying, the slowest point on the entire circuit, as they're 30 miles an hour. It's snail's pace here. Chick-fil-A Cup Series race. So I think this is definitely going to be a very interesting race. First time we're putting 40 cars on here, bunched up, 42 cars, excuse me, bunched up and ready to fire them off here at the Portland International Raceway. I think Nathan Baird, he's been fast all week. He was fast through qualifying, just being edged out by Nicholas Sykes in qualifying. I think Nathan Baird is going to have the best shot to win in that COVID-19 Relief 16 Mustang.
And it's going to be interesting to see what Baird can do. He's yet to win a race this season as a defending champion. He starts alongside Nikolai Sykes, who won the pole yesterday in qualifying, Eli Bright and Daniel McMillan in row number 2. Then we have the number 13 of Sebastian Kukulon and Keegan Thompson in row 3. John Art, Gatlin Downey, LJ Samedo, and Samit Azkin in row number 5. We're going to be silent on lap number 3 in honor of George Floyd and all of those who have been the unfortunate victim of senseless brutality, but either way, we're glad you're here. Hope you enjoy today's event. The Western Digital 350K is green from the Portland International Raceway. Side by side off the corner, Nikolai Sykes gonna get the advantage on the inside of Nathan Baird for the race lead. Eli Bright, Daniel McMillan, and Sebastian Kukulon the top 5. And it looks like everyone got through the chicane cleanly, which is a great sight to see here on the first lap of this event.
Indeed it is, and they're going to start panning it single file spread out. As John R. goes a little bit wide through the corner, there's a lot of runoff, so it is possible to run off the racetrack and not hit the wall. But even if you do, if you're in the grass, you're going to lose a lot of positions at a track where there's not a whole lot of passing points. Track position is definitely going to be key, especially since there are no pit stops in this race. All the action.
There is one pit stop in this race. No cautions. Important, though, is get that straight. Of course, we got the super speedways, and then we get the road courses, and they run different settings. But Nikolai Sykes looking to lead the first lap of this race. That's going to be a bonus point towards the championship for him. And off the final corner, it will be Sykes who leads lap 1 here in the Western Digital 350K. Nathan Baird, Eli Bright, Daniel McMillan, and Sebastian Kukulon, they fouled it down pretty well on that first lap of this event. We'll have to see if it stays that way for the rest of the day. And keep in mind, we have those green flag pit stops that will take place later on in the event. That will definitely shake up the field and ends up, or should I say, will end up shaking up the field for the finish of this event. Gatlin Downey, John Art battling right now. That is for the 7th position. Downey goes a little wide right there, and it looks like John Art's going to solidify that position for now ahead of the 22.
It is a little skirmish battle here as we're coming up on the 3rd lap, which will be silent for George Floyd. Yeah, there's a couple cars commemorating the Black Lives Matter and the All Lives Matter movements. So definitely some commemorative paint schemes for some fortunate events going on in the world right now. But Nikolai Sykes, he has a 5-car length lead over Nathan Baird as they head on to the front straightaway.
And you mentioned lap 3 will be silent in memory of all those who unfortunately lost their lives, and hopefully soon we can end racism in this country. But in memory of George Floyd and all those lost, we'll remain silent here for lap 3. Nikolai Sykes leads lap number 3 here at Portland. And obviously remembering those lives lost due to senseless brutality. Hopefully, within the near future, racism will end in our country, but we're always listening, and especially now, our minds are open to all that is going on, and hopefully, with this movement, we can finally find a solution to all the problems that we have in our country. But either way, it does appear that this race is going to be one of those where it's going to string out a little bit, and that's going to definitely benefit Nikolai Sykes here, so that's going to play into the pit stops. And I think I'm looking a lot at what we saw at Lime Rock. Pit strategy didn't really come into play that much in that race, but it was afterwards when we saw Nathan Stapleton get off the racetrack in that IndyCar race, and that really opened the door for the rest of the field. Do you think something like that could happen with Nikolai Sykes in this one?
I think, not mistaken, something already did that happen. The chicane has claimed its first victim, I think. If I'm not mistaken, during the final lap, I saw somebody kind of wheel hop it and not hit the wall as we saw during qualifying in some instances, but lose a couple positions. So it's very possible for someone to overdrive the corner and possibly go and hit the tire barriers and ruin their race. So it is possible for Nikolai Sykes or somebody to do that, to make a mistake that could cost them either a win or a good finish, but hopefully that will not happen in this.
Yeah, we'll have to see how it all plays out. Nikolai Sykes opening up a 1.21 second lead right now on Nathan Baird. Of course, he got the jump on the start, but Sykes had the advantage on the inside through the chicane, and that allowed Sykes to just pull away with it. But definitely a very interesting race so far. I think we're getting a lot of jam-ups in the back of the field. We got a little bit of damage there on Shane Lake in the 15, and as well, we were focusing on Diego Pez, and I think that might be slowing him down a little bit there in the battle right there with Mitchell Henderson. Also ahead of those guys, Wyatt Quayle, and I'm not entirely sure who went off on lap 3 through the chicane, but it was in fact somebody, and it's a tough break for those guys. There's Larvin Alonso, the number 28, our defending race winner here in the Chick-fil-A Cup season. Not get the best of runs in qualifying yesterday, currently running 36th. But supporting the Black Flag, or Black Lives Matter movement there on the number 28 machine, and really great to see that out of American Motorsports, and that might have been our culprit. That's 98 of Zachary DeLello, and he's got a lot of damage to that machine. Tough break for him right there.
DeLello not having a good weekend. He yeeted himself in uncharted qualifying through the corner, and now he yeeted himself into the chicane on there. So it is unfortunate, but it is uncharted he is uncharted, so he's not racing for points, but still, unfortunately, he could have had a good race, as Shane Lake had to get out of the gas right there. He was battling side by side Ethan Stapleton. This could get a little bit close right here. Shane Lake, he's going to try and weave, and he's going to go to the inside, transition back to the outside, and I think Stapleton's trying to pass his 15. Got damaged, so it's definitely going to be interesting. So I think we're just going to see a lot of dogfights in this race.
It's a tough place to make a pass. I mentioned when we did the IndyCar race last week at Lime Rock that place is a lot like Monaco and how it's very tight. This one's a little bit faster, but it's still very tight, and you get a lot of slow-paced corners here around this Portland International Raceway. I will say Nathan Baird is closing in, I do believe, slightly on the number 6 machine of Nikolai Sykes. We'll have to see if that number 16 gets a run on Sykes here soon. Obviously, it's not been too frequent where we've seen guys make moves, especially inside the top 10. But if he's close enough, once the cycle of green flag pit stops begins, we could definitely see Nathan Baird have a shot at getting his first win of the season. Of course, Nikolai Sykes won his Melialo dual race at Daytona back in February, but that is his only career Napa fan win. Definitely be interesting to see him and that single car team, Angel Racing, get a race victory here today. But both of the top 2 guys in this race, single car teams driving for Ford, and they've been putting on a good show up front. Strong runs for these guys so far here on lap 7 of 23 on the Western Digital 350K. It's going to be interesting to see how this one plays out. Very strung out through the field here, and those cycle of pit stops will definitely determine who gets this race victory here at Portland.
Indeed, they will. I think Baird, he closed in on Sykes the chicane as he's going to go a little bit wide through the final corner. So, as like I mentioned earlier, the chicane, that's definitely going to be the trouble spot for guys, and for other guys, they can take advantage of that. And he closed in 0.03 of a second there, so we did have another guy spin here, or that might have been DeLello's incident.
Yeah, I believe it might have been. But other than that, he's actually had a very clean race so far here at Portland. Guys have definitely taken a very clean line around this racetrack, and definitely appreciate these guys keeping it clean on this very tight...
Garlington.
Yeah, Garlington got a little loose there off the corner there. Garlington side-by-side with Brett Searer right now. We're not getting many of these side-by-side battles, but we are still getting a few of them, and these guys are definitely going to fight for every position they can get before this cycle of green flag pit stops begins. Tristan Allen on Matt Delio back in the field here. Looks like they're going to fan it back down as well, but Brett Searer is still in a tussle with Garlington. Looks like Garlington will get the advantage there as they head down the backstretch here at Portland.
Speed is go file throughout most of the field. Go back towards the beginning of the pack.
Ace Garcia trying on Brett Searer, but not going to get a run there. He gets more strung out the farther up through the field that you go. Blake Sykes, though, is continuing to lose a little bit of time to Nathan Baird here. Cut in a little bit there, and around for the 6th position. I think Keegan Thompson was already ahead of John R, but Arndt had a shot there with the number 5 and getting around him there for that position. That was a close one right there. You got to think, too, tire wear is coming into play for these guys, and we will, of course, have a set of pit stops in this race. They'll get fresh tires once they come in, but the fact that these guys are starting to wear out their tires is definitely going to make the racing a little bit interesting as this race goes along. Eli Bright closed in on Nathan Baird that last lap. I think Baird has a slightly faster race car than Sykes, but it's just such a tough place to make a run on somebody that Baird has been unable to close up to the back bumper of the number 6. Of course, Sykes able to hold on. He's been doing a great job so far in this one here from Portland. McMillan's fallen off a little bit there. He's about 3 seconds off the race lead, and Kukulon about 4 seconds off as they come around the complete lap 9 here at the Portland International Raceway.
And we'll see what the interval is here if Sykes loses any more time. Oh, he in 0.3 of a second there on Baird. I think Baird's starting to lose the car here as Eli Bright's going to try and make past the 16. Sykes is currently pulling away as we see cars through the chicane single file. Apologize, ladies and gentlemen. Getting a little loose there as everyone gets through the chicane.
It's very interesting how they go through the chicane. They go into it really fast and they just pump the brakes as hard as they can. I think we've seen a couple of guys get jammed up in there, like Wyatt Quayle and Diego Yepes, but in the back of the field, it's just all over the place. They jam up through that chicane, and they lose a lot of time to the race leader. So a lot of these guys in the back of the field, I mean, guys like Reagan Whitlock, I'm trying to find them on the racetrack here, really deep in the field. Our points leader currently 40th in this race right now. That's not going to help him too much. I mean, we only have 6 races left to go until the cutoff. But we got North Wilkesboro next week, Chicagoland, 2 Pocono races in Indianapolis, and anything can happen in all of those places. And Whitlock, you know, he is the points leader now, 79 ahead of the cutoff, but he could easily lose that position and lose 79 points to the cutoff by the time the chase begins. No one is safe in the playoffs quite yet, or in the chase, I should say. No one's locked in, so that'd be definitely be interesting to see how it shakes out from now until then. But this is one of those races where if you get a good starting position, you're most likely going to solidify a good finishing result. As you can see, everyone inside the top 5 still in, or should I say started in the top 5 for this race. I'm trying to figure out what's going on here. There's not much going on, but my brain can still not process it all, so definitely interesting so far. And, you know, this is one of those races where it's going to come down to pit strategy. We all know it, and it's going to be fun to see how that all shakes out here in a few laps. Of course, it will be past halfway. We have a one-stop race. Definitely don't want to have a fuel mileage race here at a road course. There is Andrew Miller in the 24. He's got a bit of damage there. 2-time winner so far this season, won at Auto Club and Rockingham. You got Bartow there right behind him. Bartow with a decent run right now for Bartow. It's been a tough season so far for these guys. They are close to the last position in points now. That's so many wrecks so far this season. So many opportunities to have good runs that just went south because of either getting caught up in an incident or getting caught up in somebody else's incident. And it's been a tough season for the Titan Fury Motorsports organization as a whole. None of their guys have gone the victory lane yet this season, and they're deep in the owners' points, I should say, after winning the owners' championship the past 2 years. Keegan Thompson and Kukulon a little close right there, but Thompson will not be able to get the run there. It's just not really a good place to make a pass on this road course, especially considering just how flat the road course is. Baird did close back in a little bit on Nikolai Sykes. I think it's going to come down to the pit stops, and if Baird can be within a second of Sykes when they start that cycle, I think that number 16 might have a shot at winning this race.
I think so too, because he's definitely got a fast Ford Mustang there. As you said, and you said previously, North Wilkesboro is next week. It's definitely going to be the highlight of the the Junior Johnson Memorial Shootout. I came up with the name. I should probably know the name of that. But anyway, it's definitely going to be. The North Wilkesboro race is definitely going to be the highlight of the Junior Johnson Memorial Shootout weekend. It's a throwback week. A lot of old school paint schemes are going to be on the classic track and the original 8 NASCAR tracks on the original season. It's definitely going to be a very interesting race. But right now we got Portland International Raceway and Nathan Baird. He's kind of going up and falling back, a little bit of a rubber band effect as you see cars going through the chicane once again, single file. Not a whole lot of passing here at the Portland International Raceway. So like you said, pit strategy is definitely going to be the way to go.
And I would imagine we're going to start seeing that cycle around lap 17, I do believe. But it would be cool to see Nathan Baird win the first race in this scheme. Of course, obviously, we all know the story with the COVID-19 crisis, and Nathan Baird definitely wanted to bring awareness to the relief for all that's been going on, and he's starting to close in a little bit here on Nikolai Sykes. And number 16 might have a run here on the 6 on the racetrack eventually, but the big question is, will he be able to make the pass? I don't think we've seen much of that go on, especially as the tires have worn out here. They were jamming up in the back of the field, of course. That's when we saw a lot of passing in the back, but even they're single file now, and they're strung out throughout the entire field, so it's going to be interesting to see how the pit stops affect this race. But Nikolai Sykes will get another bonus point for leading the most laps here today. Only 10 laps left in the Western Digital 350K. How do you think the cycle is going to play out? Do you think Nikolai Sykes is going to have the advantage, or do you think someone might get him off the cycle?
I'm entirely sure. I think it could play into where everybody's pit boxes are related onto pit road. How fast their crew chiefs are.
Sykes is a little wide off the corner, and here comes Baird in the 16. He did not get off the chicane well at all, and Baird finally got a good run on him. Now we're going to see if Baird can make a move for this race lead.
That was definitely, I think a little wide was an understatement. He lost all his momentum and ground that he's built up on the 16. Look now, Eli Bright, if these guys make contact and get around, that can put him in the catbird seat to win. We saw this last week at Lime Rock Park where Nathan Stapleton yeeted it himself. So this time we could see a car yeet another car out of the way.
Yeah, we've seen it happen before. And if you don't know what yeet means, it's just the Gen Z term for wreck, essentially. But Nathan Baird's now right there on the back bumper of Nikolai Sykes. I'm going to be very intrigued to see what he does entering the chicane, because you can definitely get a good run entering the chicane. That long front straightaway, you get the draft with the guy ahead of you. I don't think he's going to be close enough to make a move, but this is the closest Baird has been to the race lead all day long. Eli Bright getting a good amount of time there on Nathan Baird, and Baird had to check it up just a little bit there through the chicane, and he's going to lose his time there on Nikolai Sykes. It's just so hard. That chicane is such a tough corner on the racetrack, and if you don't hit your marks, you're just going to lose that position. But Baird's trying. I think Baird, like I said, has the faster race car than Nikolai Sykes. It's just such a tough place to make a pass that he's been unable to really get a run on the number 6 machine, but he's trying to close back in again. And one thing I'd like to notice here is Daniel McMillan. He's had a really tough season as well. Currently inside the top 5. If I'm not mistaken, this will be his first top 5 of the season if he finishes there. Keegan Thompson now up to 5th. Who was he battling with initially? I can't even remember.
John Art. Not mistaken.
It was John Art. I actually... You know what? He might have been in 5th all along, and I just forgot that he was in the 5th position. I thought it was somebody else. Actually, that might be why. Pit stops have begun in the back of the field. Tristan Allen, Brad Stover, Nicholas Samedillo. Other guys, I think, have made stops. Kukulon, that's who was in the 5th position. He came down the pit lane, and he won the race off of those guys who just came down. Watch out for Kukulon. He might get a bit of advantage on the tires here. These guys staying out another lap. See if anybody else is coming down. There are a few guys, and see who they are on the pit lane. Gatlin Downey down. LJ Sameto, Samet Ozkin, and Silas Orta all down the pit lane.
Strategy chess match.
A lot of guys down the pit lane now, from the back of the field as well. I'm intrigued to see how they're going to get an advantage on our race leaders. This could really be interesting for the race win. The top 5 still stayed out there. But Nikolai Sykes has led every lap so far, trying to hold off Nathan Baird. He's done a good job of that so far. The big question is, will he be able to hold everybody else off after this cycle of pit stops here at Portland?
I'm not entirely sure because tire strategy is going to be equal, and I think I think they should come down this time by, but we might not see. And don't count out Bright again. These two could get frisky with each other. I believe they are going to come down to pit road. Here comes Sykes, and Baird's going to stay out.
Baird's going to stay out. So Baird will stay out. McMillan, Thompson, John Art. It's a very spread out cycle here at Portland. But Nikolai Sykes, our race leader, going to come down. Nathan Baird will get a bonus point towards the championship for leading a lap. Now, the big question is, I think we really want to look at Kukulon because he didn't really merge up too well. Gatlin Downey was able to actually beat off Kukulon there, so Downey actually gained an advantage. It might work out in Sykes' favor, or Baird's favor for that matter, because it almost seems like the guys who come in later have a bit of an advantage, but a very spread out cycle here at Portland for our set of pit stops. Eli Bright and Nikolai Sykes going to get off right on each other. And we'll have to see if Bright has a shot on Nikolai Sykes for this race victory. Meanwhile, back to the official race lead. Nathan Baird in the number 16. He has put a considerable gap between him and now second Daniel McMillan. These guys most likely are going to come down the pit lane this time by Keegan Thompson, John Arndt. That's the top 4, and those are the only 4 guys who stayed out under that last caution, I do believe. So, actually, Miller did. Miller stayed out. He's on that same cycle, and I believe Wyatt Quayle might have also stayed out as well. But now Baird is down. Now McMillan, Thompson, and John Arndt. Of the guys who have already made a stop, I'm going to go to who will effectively be the race leader once this whole thing cycles through. It is, in fact, Wyatt, or should I say Nikolai Sykes. They actually got out ahead of Kukulon and Downey quite a bit right there, but the big question is this going to benefit these guys? Nathan Baird, will he gain the advantage on Sykes?
He's going to need an extremely fast pit
I don't
stop.
know if he will. You see Sykes coming off the final corner back in there. And Baird's going to go 2 tires on his pit stop. Will he beat off the 6? This is going to be interesting. Sykes is going to have all the momentum entering the chicane. McMillan is coming back on the racetrack. They're side by side with Eli Bright and Nathan Baird. He got him. And he's pulling away from Nikolai Sykes at the moment. McMillan for 3rd on Eli Bright.
That was interesting as Bright goes wide, and we'll just have to see if the 2 tires will work out over the 4 tires. I think.
Question is, did Nikolai Sykes take 4 tires? But these guys, they got a little bit of contact there off the corner. Bright's going to remain in 3rd. Keegan Thompson and John R. Gatlin, Sebastian Kukulon, LJ Sameto, and Sam Ozkin. Same top 10, but a different order. And here comes Sykes in the 6.
Oh, can he pass him? I think the chicane is definitely going to be the primary place to pass. Saw some contact between the 79 and the 33. That was for 3rd position. Who knows how much contact these guys are going to make for the top position. He's going to go inside, and the 16 is going to block him just a little bit.
Nathan Baird is a Chick-fil-A Cup Series champion against a rookie. Of course, Baird was a rookie last year. He knows what it's like to be in Nikolai Sykes' shoes. But now, Baird controlling this race here at Portland. He was behind Nikolai Sykes a majority of the event, but got the advantage, stayed out an extra lap compared to him, and was able to take the race lead away. But Nikolai Sykes is right there behind him. The question is, will he be able to hold off the guy who started on the pole and has led the most laps in this event so far? Pulled away there off the chicane with now 5 laps to go here at the Portland International Raceway, the Western Digital 350K. Not the best race ever, but it has been interesting, and definitely like what I'm seeing here at the Portland International Raceway.
You said not the most interesting race we've seen on Napa Fan, but not a too bad race for the inaugural race at the Portland International Raceway. I definitely would recommend coming back here. Actually, after you fix the I&I and they're not just throwing themselves into the chicane.
Exactly. Yeah, and hey, we'll do a little bit more edits to this next year. Of course, IndyCar will be coming here as well later on. Of course, they got a higher grip, so they race completely different than these guys. But still, you know, we'll figure things out. Maybe encourage a little bit more passing on this racetrack. But Nathan Baird made the pass on the pit lane. And now, with 4 laps to go, he's on the verge of his first win of the year and his third in his Chick-fil-A Cup Series career. Of course, like I mentioned, defending Chick-fil-A Cup Series champion, driving for his own team. Will he be able to hold off Nikolai Sykes in this one? Eli Bright's right there as well in the 33 machine. And Keegan Thompson, John aren't back in there. Looks like Ozkin and Semedo have been battling for a while here, but I think Ozkin's going to take that away from the 66 machine. You got all these guys in the back of the field. Just jamming up when they enter the chicane right here. You got Jesse Turner in the middle of all this, Tristan Allen, Zachary Fitzwater. The points are going to look a lot different. A lot of the guys who came into this race inside the top 10, then they're not really inside the top 10 running in this race right now. You do have Shane Lake there inside the top 20 and running in the 16th position, so he'll actually benefit rather nicely from the rest of the field. But Sam Ozkin as well, another one of those guys. Outside of those guys, really not many guys who have been good in the points this year running up front. So this whole thing is going to be interesting. Nathan Baird's going to throw his hat into the ring, or if he wins this race, he'll throw his hat into the ring of the Wild Card Championship, or should I say Wild Card Standings. I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. Nikolai Sykes, if he wins, will do the same thing. Same with Eli Bright. All these guys fighting to be part of that wild card race. McMillan's a guy who could really use a win in this series before the chase begins, because he's deep in the points. If he gets that win, it puts him in the wild card race, and if he gets another couple of good runs, he'll put himself in position to make the chase. So we'll have to see if at some point throughout the season McMillan can get a win. He's definitely been running stronger as of late in that number 79, but don't think he's going to get the race victory today. I think it's going to be between Sykes and Baird is pulling away from the number 6 machine. But we almost saw a pass being made earlier on when Sykes overshot a couple of corners. We'll have to see if that is the case with the number 6 machine here and the number 16, Nathan Baird.
Exactly. Imagine if we missed the pass for the lead.
That's how you get a pass for the lead. You just don't focus on the race leaders.
Huh.
Imagine if we did miss the pass, though, I'd have to edit this in Adobe Premiere, and I don't feel like doing that. We've had a very clean race. I will say that much. I think all 42 guys are still on the racetrack, with DeLello, the last guy on. Wyatt Quayle, who is part of that wild card race, is going to fall back further in that wild card race, as he is now 41st on the racetrack. With 2 laps to go for Nathan Baird here at Portland.
It is. He's a sizable gap, so I think he just needs to run a perfect 2 laps here. And I think he should be the win. He should win, but like I said, I probably jinxed him right there. He could screw up, and Sykes, he is a little bit back. He is a couple car lengths behind, so he is ready to pounce if the 16 does make a mistake. But at this point in time, I think that 2-tire call by that 16 team is definitely, hopefully, going to be the race-winning strategy for that team.
We'll have to see. I mean, odds are, like you said, if he just races a couple of clean laps, it's going to be his. And odds are, the way this thing has been going, I don't think we're going to see a pass for the race lead. But then again, we did not expect a pass for the race lead in that IndyCar race at Lime Rock last week. And, well, what happened? Chase Harris passed Marty Johnson on the final lap. So it does appear that Baird is pulling away. Sykes had his opportunity, but Baird slightly fresher tires because he came in a lap later at this point. And with that, I think Nathan Baird had the faster race car as it was. Coming around to begin the final lap here in the Western Digital 350K. Eli Bright's now on Nikolai Sykes for second. Not much passing going on, but Nathan Baird in the number 16 looking to win his first race of 2020 and his third of his Chick-fil-A Cup Series career. He's got a 1.5-second lead on Nikolai Sykes here at Portland, and only unless he goes off the racetrack at some point, I think he's going to get this race victory.
Indeed, as we saw the 79 get a little bit loose going through the chicane for the final time. I think unless there was something disastrous for the 16, it's Dame time for the 16.
You had to make that reference. I mean, we are in Portland, so it makes sense. Damian Lillard plays for the Portland Trailblazers, and if you don't know the NOFSRL, Marty and Matt worship him like he's God. Outside of that, though, Nathan Baird has definitely put on a good performance, so he definitely deserves the recognition for that. And the number 16 of Nathan Baird looks to go to victory lane here in the Western Digital 350K. Should be a good performance out of this team on these final couple of corners. Odds are it will be because we haven't seen much happen here today. But Baird got it done on the pit lane, pulled off the strategy to perfection. And the number 16 of Nathan Baird is going to grab his first win of the season. Nathan Baird wins the Western Digital 350K at the Portland International Raceway.
About that, a great strategy call by that 16 team. Nathan Baird is your winner of the Western Tech 300K. I'm pretty sure that's
Western
not the
Digital. I literally said it 15 seconds ago, man. Nathan Baird, your winner here at Portland. He wins the 15th race of the season, the 11th different winner this season, and our defending champion. Back in victory lane in the Chick-fil-A Cup Series. Probably the calmest race we have had all year. Everybody finishing on the lead lap. There you see Wyatt Quayle on the 39. He's going to complete his time, and then the number 98 of Zach DeLillo will finish in the last position. But Nathan Baird, your race winner. In a calm race, but I think it was deservingly calm considering all that's been going on in the world. And like we said, we stand with all those who want to fight for justice. It's definitely a tough time in our history, but we definitely want to make things better, and we want to listen to those who are hurting. And this one is for all those who have been hurt by racial injustice. And Nathan Baird going to pull it off here today from Portland. Take a look at the rest of the results right there. Final thoughts on this race. I don't think we were quite expecting the single file train that we did, but I don't think we were also expecting Nathan Baird to pull the strategy to make the race win happen. So definitely an interesting one here at the Portland International Speedway.
100% agree with that. Very clean race other than the Zachary DeLillo incident, which we'll have to go and review. But other than that, very seldom passing positions were like gold in this race, and then air strategy and pit strategy were ultimately the winning factor for the 16. It's also, I want to mention that it's also very special that the COVID-19 relief car won this race in its first race. So very special for all those fighting on the front lines of COVID-19. I don't want to discredit all the racial protests that are going on, but just everyone that is hurting in the world right now. We wish you well. The NOFSRL is wishing everybody to be in a great state of mind, and we'll get through all the trials and tribulations that life is throwing at us right now.
And I agree, and just got to stay strong, listen, and support one another, no matter what color skin we might have. But either way, Trey did mention that one incident we had with, I think it was Zachary DeLillo. Let's go ahead and see what happened to knock him. Well, didn't knock him out, but it gave him a lot of damage. Knocked his radiator out, probably, the number 98 machine. This is what happened on lap 3, the silent lap. Andrew Miller, that's where he got his damage. Ran right into the back of Stover and sent him around. The incident with Zach DeLillo was a lap later. And we were mentioning they were jamming it up entering the chicane. They really did so on lap 4, and that's where DeLillo gained all his damage. And the 98, he ended up coming down the pit lane to repair that, which is why he finished in the last position. But either way, your race winner, Nathan Baird, gets it done here in the Western Digital 350K. And we'll see you guys next week. It's the Junior Johnson Memorial Shootout. Southern States 400 from North Wilkesboro, the throwback race in Season 9 of the Chick-fil-A Cup Series, approximately 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. It'll be part of night number 2 of the Junior Johnson Memorial Shootout. So it's not going to premiere in its own separate video. However, it will eventually get uploaded as its own separate video at the end of the night. But either way, congratulations to Nathan Baird on his race victory here at Portland. Here are the point standings for the Chick-fil-A Cup Series after 15 races, and we'll see you guys next week from North Wilkesboro for the Junior Johnson Memorial Shootout. Thank you to Trey Wright for joining me, and here are the points. That's all I gotta say. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys later.